What if the habits that build real discipline are the ones you will never feel motivated to do? We are counting down 5 practices that force your mind to obey intention over emotion, from how you start your morning to a single rep that redefines your limits. Number 1 is not about endurance. It is about proving you have barely tapped your own capacity. It all starts at number 5, with a rule so simple most people dismiss before they ever try. In the 5th place, the first light rule strips discipline down to its purest form. The moment your alarm sounds, you get up, no negotiation, no delay, no bargaining with your own mind. This is not about chasing a sunrise or stacking hours of productivity. It is about training immediate obedience, converting intention into reflex before comfort or excuse can intervene. Marcus Aurelius wrote the sentence that follows: "When you arise in the morning, say to yourself, I am now going to meet the people, the universe, and the obligations that lie before me." For him, rising was not just waking, it was an act of command over the self, a daily assertion that reason, not impulse, would decide the day. Modern habit science confirms what the Stoics intuited. In a landmark study, researchers tracked 96 adults as they practiced a new behavior every day. The result was that it took an average of 66 days for that action to become automatic, no longer a decision but a default. The neural circuitry behind this shift runs through the basal ganglia, where repeated cues like a fixed wake time rewire the brain to cut decision friction. The more precisely you pair your intention with a single cue, the less energy you waste fighting yourself. Over time, the act of getting up at first light becomes as automatic as breathing. Why does this matter? Because every later act of discipline, whether it is enduring discomfort, resisting distraction, or pushing past fatigue, rests on the foundation of instant, unthinking obedience to your own command. Until you can rise on schedule without hesitation, every other discipline is built on sand. The first light rule is the baseline, accessible to anyone, brutal in its simplicity, and the first test of whether your mind answers to you or to comfort. Number 4 brings the first true shock to the system: progressive cold exposure. The instructions are merciless. At the end of every shower, stand perfectly still under cold water for 30 to 120 seconds. No flinching, no dancing in place, no shallow breathing. This is not about resilience to temperature. It is about standing your ground when your body's alarm screams for escape. The moment cold hits, the sympathetic nervous system detonates. Norepinephrine surges up to 8 times baseline in just 2 minutes at 10 degrees Celsius. This is the same chemical spike that floods your brain during panic or pain, but here you choose it. Inside the brain, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex lights up, exerting top-down control over the limbic system. You are not just enduring. You are overriding primal circuitry that says run. Heart rate variability rebounds by 30 to 50% after the exposure, a sign that your autonomic nervous system is learning to recover, not just react. Over time, these sessions build a new default. Your mind stays steady even as the body signals threat. Discipline forged here is voluntary discomfort. You train yourself to remain in the storm, to let the urge to flee rise and fall without obeying it. This is the muscle that will let you face any discomfort, physical, emotional, or mental, without blinking. Cold exposure is not a test of pain tolerance. It is a drill in command. Stay, breathe, override. The world is full of alarms. The disciplines do not run. Number 3 is where discipline leaves the body and takes aim at the mind. The monk mode deep work block. Imagine a single 60 to 90-minute window, no notifications, no music, no digital escape routes. The rules are brutal. 1 task, total focus, 0 tolerance for interruption. This is not about productivity hacks or color-coded planners. It is about forging cognitive endurance, the ability to hold your attention on command when every instinct screams for distraction. The neuroscience is as unforgiving as the practice. Entering deep work triggers a shift in brainwaves, theta-gamma coupling in the anterior cingulate and prefrontal cortex. the same pattern seen in elite musicians and chess masters. During these blocks, the default mode network, the seat of daydreaming and mental drift, goes dark. What takes its place is a state of flow, measurable in lab settings by heightened task accuracy and a 23% increase in completion speed. But the cost is steep. A single notification every minute, documented in a landmark PNAS study, raises error rates by 15%, shattering focus and leaving the brain in a state of cognitive whiplash. To endure this block is to train a new muscle, tolerance for boredom. The urge to check, to scroll, to escape, each resisted impulse is a rep for your attention span. The discomfort is not physical but internal, a restless agitation that only grows until finally it breaks and the mind settles into the work. This is the real test. Can you remain with your intention, unbroken, until time is up? Those who can build not just output but an unshakable standard for what their mind will obey. The world rewards those who can go deep, while others drown in shallow distraction. Number 2 demands a test of impulse control that most will never attempt. It is a single, monthly, 24-hour fast. No calories, no exceptions, just water and the quiet company of your own hunger. This is not about weight loss or metabolic hacks. The point is to experience for one full day the raw signal of want and the discipline of denial. Early Christian ascetics, the Desert Fathers, called this state nepsis, watchfulness. They believed fasting stripped away the fog of habit, sharpening vigilance and separating the true needs of the body from the endless noise of craving. In their desert cells, a day without food was not punishment, but a deliberate act to break the chain between urge and action. Modern neuroscience gives this ancient ritual a new frame. A 24-hour fast heightens interoceptive awareness, forcing the brain to confront every internal signal, hunger, thirst, restlessness, without the usual escape. Functional MRI studies show increased activity in the insula and prefrontal cortex during fasting, in regions that govern self-monitoring and top-down control. The mind learns to watch the hunger rise, crest, and fall without obeying it. Over time, this practice builds a kind of metabolic sovereignty, the ability to delay gratification, to let discomfort exist without flinching or rationalizing. The monthly cadence is intentional. Once a month is enough to keep the edge sharp, but not so frequent that it blunts resolve or leads to burnout. Each cycle renews the challenge, forcing a confrontation with the body's most basic drives. The discipline forged here is not loud or dramatic. It is the quiet, steady refusal to let impulse dictate action. In a world that offers comfort at every turn, the ability to say no, to wait, to watch, to remain in control, becomes a terrifying kind of power. The 24-hour fast is the penultimate trial, sustained self-denial, a rehearsal for every moment when the easy choice must be refused. And finally, in first place, the +1 physical standard. This is the moment discipline becomes identity. When your mind says stop, you add one more rep, one more minute, one more meter. It is not about chasing a record or impressing a crowd. It is about teaching yourself, in real time, that the ceiling is always an illusion. The 40% rule, made famous by Navy SEAL David Goggins, puts it bluntly: when you think you are done, you have only tapped into about 40% of what is possible. The rest is locked behind a wall of discomfort, and the only way through is to demand more, deliberately, relentlessly, every single time. The science is merciless. Electromyography studies show that when you force a single extra rep after failure, muscle activation spikes by 12%. High threshold motor units fire that would have stayed dormant. The mind screams for relief, but the body proves it can deliver more. This is not a hack or a motivational slogan. It is a physiological fact. Isometric holds, taken just past the point of comfort, push neuromuscular recruitment into new territory. Each micro-overreach signals the nervous system to expand its definition of possible. Over weeks, the +1 becomes a new baseline, a quiet contract you sign with yourself. I do not quit at the first limit. I always add one. There is no shortcut here. The +1 is the ultimate test because it is immediate. There is no buffer, no planning, no negotiation. When fatigue hits, when your willpower is at its lowest, you choose to go again. That decision, made in the furnace of discomfort, cements grit in a way that no amount of planning or theory ever could. This is where discipline stops being a practice and becomes a standard. The person who always adds one more is not chasing discipline. They are discipline, and that is the scariest level of all. Across all 5 challenges, one pattern emerges. Discipline grows, not when you feel inspired, but when you repeatedly choose discomfort over impulse. Each act of internal defiance rewires what you tolerate and who you become. How much authority do you really have over yourself? That is the test.